Hi, welcome back to Good Deeds Real Estate with a Mission. Today I am sitting in for Diane Davidson and I'm here with her business and life partner, Bill Weidecker. And today we are here to talk about some market numbers. We have the monthly numbers. And we also wanted to touch on a couple of other things, if I'm not mistaken.
So we've gone through the first 4 months of the year, even though it's we're now essentially the third week of May here. We're going to be talking about numbers that are a little less than a month ago, but there's always going to be some lag. Mm. And what we found is the last report, first of all, active inventory is still an issue. Mm-hmm. Nothing is really sitting on the market. So to give you some context, right at the time of the report, there were just a little over 1,300 single-family homes on the market in the entire state. Yeah. And I've got news for you all. There's more than 1,300 buyers out there looking right now, actively looking. Mm-hmm. So it is really still a very good time for sellers. There's plenty of opportunity. We're going to talk a little bit about affordability, and we'll get to that. So the blush may be off the rose, a little too early to tell. Year-to-date numbers through April, closed transactions are off about 20%. Okay. So same time compared to last year, there were 20% more transactions sold. I think it's a clear indication, Nicole, of the lack of houses coming on the market. Yeah. Spring is starting to show us some hope there. We're seeing more properties come on. Mm-hmm. We're seeing more buyers able to find what they're looking for. It's not perfect yet. No. It is not a balanced market by any stretch. But we are finding that there are some bright sides out there for those that are looking to buy. Yeah. Interest rates is not one of them. I was just before filming today, I looked at the journal to see where our rates were, and we are in the mid fives. And last week we were at a 52-week high. So we're about 0.2% less. We're 5.5 compared to last week. We were about 5.7. Okay. So a year ago we were in the threes. Right. So prices are up. Prices are up almost 16% this time of the year compared to last year. Interest rates are up. Prices are up. That means mortgage payments are up.
And that leads us to the affordability index.
Indeed. Yeah. Indeed, I promised we were going to get there. The affordability index is really this. It is we take the median priced home and the median income earner in the state. Right. And a year ago, the median income earner was making 109% of what was necessary to afford the median priced home. So they were making almost 10% more than what was necessary. Mm-hmm. So homes were 110% affordable. To give you some context, 3 years ago, they were 200% affordable. Wow. The median income earner was earning twice as much as was necessary to afford the median priced home. Simple. Prices were less, interest rates were less. Yep. Now, fast forward to today. Mm-hmm. Last year we were 109%. This is same time of the year, last year compared to this year, we're 75%. Which means the median income earner is earning 3/4 as much income as is necessary to afford the median priced home. Yeah. Now, that does not mean it's affecting prices. That does not mean that it's affecting property's ability to sell. We're still seeing buyers outweighing sellers in the market by about 1.5, 2 to 1.
Yeah, and they certainly are selling.
It's just a question from my perspective, if we still see a pressure on interest rates and increases in prices sooner or later, at the very lowest level of the buying threshold, some people will no longer qualify. Mm-hmm. And that will have an effect. We're not there yet. We're not ringing the bells of alarm. But what I am saying is that affordability is being affected, and it is a matter of time, unless prices somehow just sort of stop.
Right. Do you think that what interest rate do you think we get to when it starts to make that effect on people? Or
That's-
do you think it's the price that'll happen first?
Well, that's a really good question because I've sold homes for sellers in just about every price point you could imagine,
Right.
Nicole.
I'm sure.
When I started in the business almost 40 years ago, the prime lending rate in the country was 21%, and mortgage rates were 16. Now, prices weren't escalating, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and people. There's a saying in the industry is that people don't live in the price as much as they live in the payment.
Right.
And if people really would much rather have their own home than have an apartment because at the end of the year, the apartment is still not theirs.
Right.
They've paid a lot for their rent. Rents are up too, and there's no sign of that stopping. So I really believe that when you ask where will it stop, I think what we'll see is prices will stop first.
It makes sense.
They will stop first because what does the consumer have more control over? What they will pay for something,
True.
or the interest rate that they will finance it at?
Mm-hmm.
They have
true.
no control over the rates as much as the price that they'll pay.
Yeah.
And that's for automobiles. It's for anything that they might need credit to purchase, and certainly more. Getting a mortgage or borrowing to get a house
Mm-hmm.
is one of the things where people will start to halt if they feel it's too much money.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to say, well, that's 6 months from now or that's a year from now. It could be, if we see rates go up drastically, I think we're kind of baked into where the rates are now. I don't believe we're going to see things move much, even if the Federal Reserve moves another 50 basis points at the next meeting. I don't think we're going to see mortgage rates move 50 basis points, meaning 0.5%.
Right.
But could we get to 7% in the next year or two? Certainly we could.
Yeah. Is there any other standout numbers and anomalies from what we've seen over the last month?
Well, I think the condominium market is still good, really, really good. I think the residential market is still good. Days on market is still less than it was a year ago.
Yeah.
So those are indicators to me. When you look at the average days on market, you look at prices. Prices are up about 15%. April, the first 4 months of the year this year versus the first 4 months of last year.
Yeah.
15% higher.
Yeah.
So, a year, when
It's
you take
huge.
1 year, if you buy something for $500,000 and you say, okay, that's $125,000 more in a year,
Mm-hmm.
it's not sustainable.
No.
It's not real.
Yeah.
And it will eventually, the demand will eventually be satisfied, and then we'll start to see supply increase. The things to look at is that days on market, if that starts to creep up, if supply starts to expand a little bit, those are early indicators to me that the market is starting to cool.
Have we seen any creeping up with days on market at all, or has it been?
No,
much
it's down.
steady?
It's down from last year, and that's one of the things I look at. We're about 31 days through the first 4 months is the average days on market. Now, here's what that means: is you think, well, okay, if it goes from 31 days to 37 days, you think, well, that's not really that much, 6 days, but it's a 20% increase in days on market.
Right.
And so it really, as a percentage, that's the key thing, is a week might not seem like much in terms of the days on market for if you're a seller, but it really is, it is a clear indicator that things are starting to sit a little bit longer, because keep in mind, those are our averages.
Right. Which is different than the median.
That's
which we learned
correct.
on this podcast.
See how much we're learning? So I think days on market and active inventory will start to tell the story for us.
Yeah.
And when we start to see months of supply as a result of that, we've got a ways to go. We're less than, when we have 1,300 properties on the market in the entire state, single families, there's less than 400 condos on the market
Wow.
in the entire state. It's
Wow.
like 350.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's really interesting about that is even though it's only 1,300, that's still twice as much as it was 2 months ago.
I know.
That's crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause for celebration.
I know. It feels like it, but it really isn't.
To give some context, It was not that long. 10 years ago, we had over 10,000 properties on the market.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, you know, in the early parts of the Great Recession, we had 15,000 properties on the market.
Wow.
So,
Yeah. It's,
1,300 now.
yeah. Wow.
It's all about context.
Yeah. It's 10 times different.
Yep.
Yep. Any, what does Diane always say? Any last words?
There's always last words, but I think there's a lot of numbers there. We threw a
Yeah.
lot of numbers at you, but
Yeah.
I think the key is that if you're planning on selling, we know with confidence where we're at in the next 60 to 90 to 120 days.
Yeah.
It's hard to know where things are going to go. Where this is a very different economic time because there's a lot of economic issues, but there's a lot of global issues as well.
Absolutely.
And we just have to keep an eye on those things, and depending on what goes on in other parts of the world now, you know, has an effect here.
Yeah, for sure. So keep tuning in for those market updates.
Indeed.
Yes. Thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on your favorite podcast platforms.